Whitlock, what's more troubling, Zeke quitting clearly on that play or Dak struggling?
Zeke is what he is. He's unreliable, unpredictable, immature. You know that going in. You're betting on Dak Prescott, and he's got the high upside. And, yeah, I think the guy's played 16, 17, 18 games, and this is the first really bad one. But I'm concerned about Dak Prescott. I'm concerned about Dez Bryant and Dak Prescott working in combination. It's not clicking the way that it should. And, you know, Dak Prescott is 23, 24 years old, and that Denver defense made him look like that old Peyton Manning that we saw in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs one year, where they just totally destroyed and shut down Von Miller and those guys, just what Seattle did to Peyton Manning, in the Super Bowl. For that Denver defense to shut him down and make him look that ineffective, that was troubling for me.
I'm okay with it. I think Dak's going to be great. I think, listen, Jared Goff made a throw yesterday, and you're like, oh, that was ugly. Carson Wentz has had moments where you're just like, oh, this is like, what, the 18th start? That's the first time I watched Dak and went, okay, he's overwhelmed. I mean, listen, you had deterioration of the pocket. Dez can no longer, especially against Talib and Harris, he can't get open. They just bailed on the running game, high altitude and trailing. Like, that was just one of those moments where who's going to flourish? Listen, I saw this Denver defense embarrass Cam Newton, who won the MVP. I saw this defense last year, crush Tom Brady 2 years ago in an AFC championship. This defense makes veterans look uneasy. I thought everything converged. It was a bad matchups, got behind, bailed running game. I just think it happens against Denver there. I just think it happens all the time with a lot of quarterbacks in Denver.
Dak looked young. So he just looked like a young quarterback. That's the part of this. You say this is the first time you saw him look this way. It's the first time the running game didn't work. This is the first time he needed Jason Garrett. First time he needed Jason Garrett to say, okay, the plan's not working. The plan's not working, so let's go and figure out what we can do. Dak is not a 50-pass-a-game guy. Your offense is built around you running the ball, and you ran it 9 times. You have to find a way, once a team has committed to stopping Zeke, and that's the first time someone actually did it. How are you going to then perform? You need your coach. This is one of those times where you need your coach to move some X's and O's around to get you into some plays that are working, as opposed to Jason Garrett coming to the podium saying, hey, we decided to throw the ball and it wasn't working. We got to be more efficient. Okay, come up with some type of scheme. Come up with some type from formation, motion, Plan B, and get a guy open.
Yeah, and that's why if you ask who I'm more concerned with, I'm not as concerned with Prescott. I'm more concerned with Dez, because his route running, too. I'm just saying his route tree. We talked about it this morning on Undisputed with Shannon. Like, where he was running, he's running fade routes. He's running back shoulder fades every single time. I think there were 7 or 8 back shoulder type throws, like jump up and catch it. You don't see Julio doing that. You don't see Antonio Brown doing that, A.J. Green, those good receivers. It's like, are you going to run an out route? Are you going to run an in route? Or are you going to run the deep over? Like, he needs to improve his route running, and I don't know if that starts with the coaching. I'm not saying he's not a good player. He's one of the best receivers in the league, but it is also a teaching tool for these coaches.
Yeah,
Let's see what you got.
Of course that starts with the coaching, because what happens, you're accustomed to throwing that jump ball up. We hear it all the time, the 50-50 ball. Mm-hmm. And you're just going to throw it up and allow these guys to make that play. Well, when that's not working, when you're going against high-end DBs in the league and that's not working, now let's get the other routes going. Yeah. Let's have, what's the rest of your game plan? It didn't have
I'm
one.
surprised you don't like him, because you tend to like mature players. So think about what Dak's dealing with. Immature Ezekiel Elliott, an owner who is at best impulsive, a star receiver, Dez, who plays when he wants to. Like, I could make the argument Dak's postgame is all I needed to hear. Total ownership. On me, not good enough. Very encouraging. No excuses. I was bad. Listen, this is an organization that is often, it's almost as if Jerry lights the flame of chaos. You've got a star running back who's immature, a star wide receiver who has not developed His tree is now a branch, basically.
Listen, I want to frame this up for the viewers. We probably framed the question wrong because I don't think any of us are all that concerned or surprised by Ezekiel Elliott doing something immature on the field. No. What we've heard that's very interesting from both of you guys and from Colin is like, is Jason Garrett, is Dez Bryant, are they a bigger problem than Dak Prescott? I'm not out on Dak Prescott. I didn't like what I saw, but Eric has reminded me of a point he's made earlier about, hey, the coach is a guy we should be looking at, and Tony's making a point that Dez Bryant is so it takes a village to raise a young quarterback, and the village is kind of letting Dak Prescott down, as I think is the point we're making. And Zeke Elliott's going to be immature. That's who he is.
And usually they can hide behind that offensive line. The offensive line got their butts kicked.
Yeah.
That's all there is. Running game and passing game. They couldn't block Von Miller. And that's the first time they've had to deal with something like this.